How did I get here? Is something I ask myself pretty often actually, whether it's after a series of phone calls with scheduling or billing at an oncology department or popping, handfuls of pills morning, noon, and night to take care of the various ailments that don't even stop my hips from feeling like glass when I go to bed despite only being 37 and having advanced arthritis. You get it. Anyway, I think I can trace it back to when I was a little kid running around in the 90s, and I would tell my mom, when I grow up, I'm going to be a famous YouTuber. And she'd be like, son, you have zero life experience. What are you going to talk about? And I'd look her dead in the face and I'd say, Mom, I'm going to get cancer. And then I'm going to talk about my feelings, and people are going to kind of enjoy it. So now I'm sitting here doing that on a rickety piano bench in the same room and kind of overall situation I've been trying to escape for the last 7 years. But don't worry, this isn't going to be a complete bitch fest today. In fact, it's a largely positive version of how did I get here. But before we do that, I should note that I legitimately, when I was a teenager probably, like when I was in high school learning about the world and biology and human advancement, I would point to the exact freckle on my calf that did end up being cancer and saying, everyone's going to die of cancer one day. This will probably be cancer. And I was right. So what is the positive version of how did I get here for a 37-year-old stage 4 cancer patient who's been dealing with this fucking mess for the last 7 years? Because at a lot of different times in my life, I have asked the positive version of how did I get here. I've lived a fairly charmed life, cancer or otherwise. I've got great friends and family. I've had the agency to play games for a living or start businesses or, mostly just run around and do whatever I want, which I do not ever want to take for granted. It's one of the reasons why I think I'm so okay with the concept of cancer messing with my existence and or lifespan is that I've had a lot of time to do things that have left me feeling not cheated when it's all said and done. But even after being diagnosed with cancer, I've had a lot of good versions of saying, how did I get here? This week's version of how did I get here is kicked off by absolutely fantastic news in that my second straight PET scan came back clean, meaning both PET scans since my recurrence and beginning of active treatment have been clean, meaning the treatment is working. I am on track to finish this year with no evidence of disease and hopefully enter what might be a durable remission. We'll worry about that shit later because in the interim, during this how did I get here period of today and this week, it's the feelings that are getting to me. It is the what is going on with feeling joy and acceptance and confusion and a little bit of ambivalence, all of these things which are to be expected. But if I've learned anything over the course of the last 7 years of dealing with cancer, it's that the mental health portion is often just as tricky and debilitating as the physical health portion, especially when you respond to treatment well and you find yourself in these weird zones that there aren't really rules for because these aren't normal situations. We didn't used to have stage 4 cancer patients living as long, and also no one really tells you how to individually deal with this stuff because that's not how the world works. But because of the advent of the internet and social media and YouTube specifically in this instance, it kind of can be. And what with the cancer and me sitting here talking about my feelings, I can get thousands of people to interact with me, Mom. And so when I get to these moments of how did I get here, but in the good sense because I feel human and I feel alive and I feel like, myself, which is rare. When you're diagnosed with cancer, your world is immediately turned upside down. It's turned into this alien existence, or for me, it's almost like a third-person existence that I'm just watching. And when you get back to feeling like yourself, you know it. I mean, it's immediate, and you just say, oh shit, how did I get here? And I'm going through one of those. And it's nice. I mean, it's fucking great, as though those aren't ridiculous understatements given the circumstances anyway. But the problem with feeling human and being a human that has accrued the life experience that I have is that I know that it will probably falter, which, that's not a fault of my own. That's just how things work when you're in cancer treatment. And so figuring out how to hold on for this as long as I can, finding durable joy. I mean, that's difficult for anyone that's living, regardless of whether they have cancer or not. But finding durable joy and happiness while you're in cancer treatment has been pretty elusive. So at the risk of pulling the wrong thread and unraveling everything, I am going to try and unpack this because it's not just a clean scan that has perpetrated joy. And I've been in this situation a number of times and not had the joy. So what is it that is making this time better than others? Well, to begin with, I think I've been able to just breathe for the first time in a while because I've been NED for at least 3 months, like I said. But when you are in cancer treatment or you're fearful you have cancer or you just finished treatment, whenever you're looking for variables to change or you think that, the other shoe might drop, which is a lot of life as a cancer patient, it's hard to feel joy. It's hard to unwind. And right now, because my treatment is very stable, I haven't had any real side effects since I got rhabdomyolysis in November. And, day to day, I'm not feeling too much fatigue. I'm not feeling too much nausea. my bones are pretty achy, my arthritis is flaring up a little bit, but for the most part, like my routine is set. Like I do treatment at the beginning of the day and at the end of the night. I take a handful of pills to offset the potential side effects. I hydrate like crazy. I'm able to work out, all that good stuff. I'm eating well. Similarly, like because the treatment is going well, I'm not fearful of a recurrence. That's the other thing. These things are really powerful, these things being the drugs that I'm taking. And they do seem to melt away cancer almost immediately when you get on them, but they have a high rate of recurrence. And so, it doesn't just mean 3 months or 6 months into treatment, which is essentially where I'm at. I could have a recurrence 9 months or a year while still taking them, but I don't know. It seems like the likelihood kind of has gone down now that I've passed the first 2 scans cleanly. It's just kind of the intuition. Call it a third-time cancer survivor's intuition. But in my mind, I am now cruising a little bit more than when I was settling into doing this treatment and experiencing side effects and not really knowing how scans were going to go or if this was going to be a really difficult year or what is shaping up to now be a less stressful one than I had anticipated. So those are the physical components, the tangibles of my cancer diagnosis and treatment that would contribute to how I feel right now. But let's get more to the soft, squishy, emotional side, the feelingsy things that we came here to talk about. That's why they made YouTube in the first place, Mom. When you're able to grasp that joy and find your humanity, the smiling version of how did I get here, because you're able to breathe a little bit, or specifically right now because I am able to breathe a little bit and settle down and look around at my life and realize that it's not so bad in spite of the circumstance, I also understand that it probably will get jeopardized by my health again at some point. I'm not trying to be a pessimist, but like I have stage 4 seemingly chronic metastatic melanoma, and if I do end up going into durable remission and living out the rest of my days unaffected by it, that would be a spectacular success. But so far the patterning would lead me to believe I'm at least going to encounter it once or twice or whatever. I'll probably be dealing with cancer in some capacity, and I'm still going to have to go through diagnostics and scares and all this other stuff for a minimum of 5 years if I do end up making it to cured, but I'm not banking on that. And when I say make the most of it, I mean during these times of joy, during these easier times, during times in which I have good mental health, I think it's important that I identify the things that bring me joy and bring me meaning in life, because those may or may not have changed. And to date, they aren't so different than they were before when I had cancer. I mean, I still love hanging out with my friends and planning, parties and events and playing sports and traveling and doing things that are, people forward. That's really what brings me joy in life. And so when I'm at my best, I'm able to do these things at a higher frequency and with more purpose than when I'm sick, because ultimately cancer makes us selfish. That's not crazy to admit. It's just when you're focused on everything surrounding your physical health and your mental health is crumbling, it's hard to be kind to other people. It's hard to put other people's priorities first. You forget birthdays, you forget hangouts, you hole up in your room. So right now, when things are going great, I've taken it on me to be more social and to strengthen connections I have with my friends and my family and my community when I have the time and the energy to do so. And not only just strengthen my interpersonal connections, but to form better habits and stick to them and make sure the structure of my life is healthier so that when things do get a little shaky down the line, I'll have better support in place all around me. And that little 45-second explanation right there, that's a simplistic version of what is recurring in my head over and over and over every single day. Every time I get to see the light of day in terms of joy and happiness and progress in cancer, that at least is in the back of my mind as I parse out the situation for myself in the short, medium, long term for what my life looks like. And I wish that wasn't the case, but that's not really an issue because at some point in time you learn to deal with it. That's why I'm able to be okay today. I figured out how to cope with this feeling, and we all know that feelings just are. It's not like I can stop myself from having that assessment of my life. I'm going to keep doing that. But the more I encounter it and the more I say, hey, listen, this is going to be the situation and I'm just going to have to live my life to the best that I can while dealing with this situation that, it's true. All the things I said are true. I might have a recurrence. I might have multiple recurrences. I might die of cancer very, very soon. But the only way that I'm going to enjoy any of my time, both the healthy ones or the sick ones, is if I can shove that to the side and say, here's what's in front of me. How do we make the most of it? I think that's a big lesson I've learned from my first couple diagnoses into this third one, is that you really do have to make the most out of your healthy times, both mentally and physically. And it kind of feels unfair. That's the weird component of finding the joy, finding the humanity, and then saying to yourself, oh shit, I have to turn it on a little bit right now. Even if that looks like different things. I mean, turning it on, by socializing more, that doesn't sound too much of a burden, but when you go through so much intense mental trauma and like treatment fatigue and all the things that are making it difficult to go through active treatment normally, when you go through that and then you find these little pockets of like normalcy again, you kind of just want to do nothing. And I've run into that a lot where my brain and my body are screaming at me like, hey, we could use nothing. But then you start to get into this pattern of doing that and you realize this is not equipping me for any sort of future other than one that would just be like kind of stuck in these cycles of meh. And I aspire to more than that, and maybe it's greedy. Maybe I should just be sitting around and, saying, man, things have been good. But from where I'm sitting right now, there's the opportunity to do a lot more. And even if it does require some more work as a cancer patient, that's the hand I've been dealt. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to work harder for it. But that's enough aspirational stuff for now. I'm starting to talk myself into circles. Am I happy? Am I confused? Am I motivated? Am I burnt out? Is it hard to be me? Is it easy to be me? I think I should just simplify it and accept that I have some really good news. My situation is really good for everything that I've been through. And I feel like a person again, and people don't have everything mapped out. We're not expected to be perfect as non-cancer patients, and I shouldn't expect myself to be perfect as a cancer patient. So I'm going to try and take this time to bask in the joy, embrace the unknown, and live the life that I am able to, luckily at this moment, hopefully for a long time beyond. I want to take the time to thank you for watching this today. I know I just gave a whole spiel about maximizing your moments in life, and if you took some of them to listen to a guy wax philosophic about the results of a PET scan, it means you have a good amount of sympathy and or empathy for people going through cancer. Maybe it's because you're a patient yourself, or maybe it's because you have a loved one who is a cancer patient, but either way, thank you for watching this and listening. If you want to share this with someone else that might benefit from it, I would also appreciate that. Or if you want to do the like and subscribe thing, that helps too. Either way, I really appreciate you guys being here. And until next time, I will talk to you soon. Bye.